Ideating in the Wonder Zone. Prior to the start of the ideation phase, we'd formulated our three how might we questions. How might we provide consumers with tools and knowledge to choose sustainable options when making purchasing decisions? How might we provide consumers with sustainable options without a high price tag? And how might corporations ensure ease of determining what sustainable options are available? Through brainstorming, a collection of ideas have been generated. These ideas were then assessed against a desirability, feasibility, and viability framework, with further evaluation being conducted to determine the overall viability of each one, so I could focus on those that had the highest potential. An impact and effort assessment was performed using a matrix to highlight the key items that address the how might we questions and further research that was completed prior. Now, these items were then validated and tested through storyboarding. This process led to the identification of a short list of ideas that will then progress into the prototyping stage. So here I will take you through this process that we took. So the first from these how might we questions that were harvested in the earlier steps, I started the ideating against the marketing, technological, customer and regulation trends in order to challenge assumptions and think of more innovative ideas. Moody 2013. I bounced a few ideas off a colleague, getting his buy-in, and we built on each other's ideas through this mind map. In this process, we looked beyond the consumer at the opportunities that also came up with ways that Coles could contribute without the customer having to take additional actions. This really was an opportunity just to lay everything out there. Broadly, these ideas all fit into four categories: consumer education, packaging and waste reduction, community and corporate social responsibility, and sustainable product promotion. When I then took all these ideas through a desirability, feasibility and viability assessment, what I was doing was always coming back to those how might we questions to make sure that they were going to actually meet the problem, as well as the findings from my research phase. Where there were gaps in my knowledge, I also completed additional research into the sustainability through the grocery supply chain. These were the list of the final items that I conducted the desirability, feasibility, and viability assessment, breaking them down into those that had an overall highly desirable, feasible, and viable, those that were kind of mid, and then those that had a real mixed or a low viability. For the full list and all of the breakdown of the information, please do see Appendix 1. So the seven items that came through as highly desirable were then moved forward through to a further assessment through to the impact and effort matrix. Now, this assessment was used to refine and shortlist further. Of the items that are sitting in the Do It Now quadrant, they all really do align to the research findings. So in particular, for our online filters for Australian-made or sustainable products, so these do meet the identified needs through our research, as well as with viable sustainable options that Australian-made will typically have a lower carbon footprint and therefore help our online shoppers to shop more sustainably. Within our stores having information signage. So the WWF has actually already developed a simple flyer with this. So we have a precedent to create on generic information without actually having to have supplier buy-in, which I believe would reduce the overall effort compared to some of the other items that got knocked out as a lower viability because of the input of suppliers, and therefore Coles's limited, influence there. Additionally, through the dedicated aisle on a sustainable product, there is supporting information as well, Major in 2023 et al., which said there would be value in guiding customers to where these items are by placing them in an attractive location. So through this process, then these last three, these refined three items were then moved into storyboarding, so I could create a really simple journey of each of these solutions. So the first one, which was the online filter, showing this journey of a customer who has made a decision to go online and shop, uses the filtering options to locate their items, is presented with the filtered options, and then can review the level of Australian-made information within the product selection itself. From here, they then make their purchasing choices, which hopefully is very Australian-made and more sustainable. The next one, which was information signage, really showing another one of the personas that I had, which was a mother going into the grocery store in person. So here, a mother enters the grocery store, she would see some signage at entrance, probably would ignore it, moving through to the store itself. If the signage is actually in prominent locations or those important places where consumers should make those decisions, then they may pause and actually read it, review the information, and potentially that will then mean that some more sustainable options made it into her cart that day. And then the last one, which was here we have a young man who enters the grocery store, is directed through signage, but then is very pleasantly surprised to see that there is a dedicated aisle for sustainable products. He can explore that aisle, learning some things that maybe he didn't know were sustainable, or maybe even highlighting some lack of items that he thought were. Here he then can complete his shopping quickly and sustainably, all in the one, as much as possible, all in the one location. Upon reflections of doing this assessment or going through this piece of ideation, is that particularly for the storyboard, I found that it was really beneficial to not only link it back to the customer at the center of the problem, but also to utilize that storyboard to recenter back to that customer, as well as to help further identify any gaps and opportunities. Luke et al. 2015. All scenarios really did fit with the research, particularly the interviewees. But reviewing these storyboards, I can see some gaps. Like with our online filtering, it's only for customers who make a conscious decision to take the action, and not those that aren't even aware of the app can help them make those choices. With the dedicated aisle, that doesn't really help those that have a negative connotation to the cost of sustainable solutions. So I've kept the prime location item, which had previously been knocked out, kind of in with that, so that they can be assessed together, because there could be some opportunities to do something of a combination. I do feel that emphasizing is really the most important aspect of design thinking, and particularly through this process, with the need to come back to that customer either through revisiting the research or reaching out to ask them what resonates more with them. I really look forward to the testing step and getting further feedback from my network. In conclusion, from the start of the ideation phase and the 3 how might we questions, focusing on providing consumers with tools and knowledge for sustainable choices, offering affordable sustainable options, and ensuring ease of determining available sustainable options available. Through this brainstorming, the ideas have been assessed, and based on all of this information as being validated through the storyboarding, the final 3 items are the online filterings for Australian-made and sustainable products, dedicated aisles for sustainable products, or prime shelf positioning for sustainable options, and that informational signage. So definitely further breakdown onto each of these items is needed, so that I can nail the specific need of our customer. Thank you.